Youth Doctor with Astro Black and Queen Ebony. We're coming to you tonight with the show Black Power Should Be Your Only Religion. Now, we know about power, or do we know about power? When we look at white power, we see power. When we look at black power, it's in its infancy because it really has not been achieved other than in word. So we're going to break down tonight how black power and the black power movement that exists in America today and maybe a few years ago into the 60s and 70s where it was coined. It was actually coined a little bit before that. We're going to get into that tonight. But when it was coined and used and went worldwide, the black power. And we want to break it down to show you that black power today is only the power that's invested in the Negro by the white man. And black power today wants to be achieved within the white power dynamics. And is that black power or not? That's what we're here to discuss tonight. Astro Black, the mic is yours.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. Stay strong, stay black. In our analysis of our greater goal, our divine goals, and our mission for liberation, dignity, and self-determination, we look at the tools of psychological mind control that have been used on the masses of black people across the planet, specifically on the continent of Africa, as a means of controlling our minds and by extension our bodies and the resources that we have God's law and man's law as a right to. I put out a piece written by Dr. John Henrik Clarke called "The Concept of Deity," where he talks about the methods of mind control in the way that they were used primarily and initially by the so-called preachers, pastors, ministers, and priests who were in their satanic mission used the church as a guise to further their goals of white supremacy. For those who don't know, Don Henrik Clarke was a preeminent African-American historian, author of several volumes of history, the history of Africa and the African diaspora. He was a professor at the Department of Black and Puerto Rican Studies at Hunter College and City University, New York. He starts out by saying, to hold a people in oppression, you have to convince them first that they are supposed to be oppressed. When the European comes to a country, the first thing he does is to laugh at your God concept and to laugh at your God. And the next thing is to make you laugh at your own God concept. Then you don't have to build any jails for you, because he's got you in a jail more binding than iron can ever put you. Anytime you turn on your own God, you are no longer a free man or woman. No one needs to put you in chains because the chains are on your mind. Anytime someone says your God is ugly and you release your God and join their God, there is no hope for your freedom until you once more believe in your own concept of the deity. And that's how we're trapped. Black brothers and sisters, we have been educated into believing someone else's concept of the deity and someone else's concept and standard of beauty. You have the right to participate in any religion and politics in a way that best suits your freedom, your dignity, and your understanding. And once you do that, you do not apologize. Nothing European mind ever devised was meant to do anything but to facilitate the Europeans' control over the world. Anything that you get from Europe that you are going to use for yourself, remake it to suit yourself. Where did we go wrong educationally, he asks. After the Civil War, the period called Reconstruction, a period of pseudo-democracy, we began to have our own institutions, our own schools. Yet we had no role model for our schools, our own role model. So we began to imitate white schools. Our church was an imitation of the white church. All we did is to modify the old trap. We didn't change the images. We became more comfortable within the trap. We didn't change the images. We changed some of the concepts of the images, but the images remained the same. So the miseducation that gave us a slave mentality has been altered, but it remained basically the same. And here he highlights the trajectory and the cause and effect of the colonial system, the institutionalized chattel slavery, and the process of neo-colonialism and neo-slavery that we're battling against now in the 21st century, is in that they take control of your mind and your spirit, brothers and sisters, more importantly, before they can take control of your body. They make you believe that Jesus is white, angels are white, and that the devil is black. That heaven is in heaven there's milk and honey, and it must be the black angels in the back that are cooking it. But this is the primary part. This is the initial part of the mind control process and the process and the protocol of psychological slavery. And they did it first to us over the course of centuries on wherever they came in contact with us, especially in the continent of Africa. And it's when they make you believe that you are not the God that you are, you're not the goddesses that you are, the concept that you have of the way the universe was created and your place in it is something that we can only understand by going to their schools and their church and to their jobs. This is how you make a slave. This is how you can take control of their mind, body, and spirit. And everything else that they lay claim to, the land, the resources, a future, are then ripe for the picking for these slave traders and these racist rapists. Brother Akbar.
Yes. Well, white supremacy has, they function almost like a chess game. That's why they love to play chess so much. When they start to take you over, the first people they send in is the missionaries. And the missionaries, like you say, come to destroy your spiritual system, which controls you and the masses. It brings the masses together under one banner, just like almost like a flag. America is a religion. White supremacy is a religion. That's why we say tonight that black power should be your only religion. White religion equals white power. We see that today because we have all these black people running around bowing down to white deities, and if they're not bowing down to white deities, they're listening to the literature that white people wrote for them to follow into religion. Now, I don't want to get this mixed up. The beginning of a lot of these religions and stuff, was given to them by us, but it wasn't in no written word for the masses. The only people that could read and understand it was the priest, because the priest had a secret order. So people didn't start reading about religion until around the 14th century, when the first Bible was printed, the Gutenberg. So this is the material to spread white supremacy. So when it went into Europe, it became totally white. When it was in the East, it was a mixed religion. All the popes, a lot of people don't know this, they call them papa instead of popes, were black, because the blacks were forced at first to give the whites, to put them on the Godhead. So religion puts you in the position to control, because once you have the minds of the people and the people believe that the image of you is God, the image that you put up there that look like you is God, and then you become God through proxy. They're really worshiping you through the religion. Now, all the people that have power on earth, you got white power. White religion means white power. You got Arab power. Arab religion means Arab power. You got Jew power. Well, they white too, but it's a different religion, and the Arabs are too. Most of them, some of them are mixed. And Jew power, Jewish religion equals Jew power. Chinese religion equals Chinese power. Indian religion equals Indian power. Now, why did I not mention blacks on this paper? Because there's very few black people left in the world that's practicing any religion that's, used to uplift and unite their people. They're using the religion of the oppressors. I mean, every religion you could think of other than African religions. Now, I'm not saying there's no people that don't go into it, because there's African religions around, but it's a small number. Cuba has some. Some of the islands have, some African religion. Haiti has remnants of African religion mixed with European religion, and Cuba do too. They had to mix it during slavery time in order to hide the black religion within the white religion. So that's how they was able to sneak it in a little. So that's why these people were actually able to stand up and fight and resist the white man, because they had a religion that united the people together under one banner. And we don't have that. We have the religion of the oppressor that unites us under the banner of the oppressor to work with the oppressor to oppress ourselves. And that's crazy. And we want to talk about what black power means today. And we're going to have Queen Ebony to read off the first part of what black power. This is the definition and the history of the word black power and its usage in America. Queen Ebony, the mic is yours.
Good evening, my brothers and sisters. I'm going to read a small excerpt about black power. Black power is a political slogan and a name for various associated ideologies aimed at achieving self-determination for people of African or black descent. It is used by African Americans in the United States. The movement was prominent in the late 1960s and early 1970s, emphasizing racial pride and the creation of black political and cultural institutions to nurture and promote black collective interests and advance black values. Now, this take I have on this is meaning that we are in a state where we're in a land that's really not our own, and we have took on the ways of our oppressor. So black power was formed basically to aware our people of our racial pride and our culture and our history. It was to promote black businesses, promote black nurturing, was for schools, for hospitals, banks, all types of ways that we can just uplift and employ our own people, because we have different skills, different talents that we all had but didn't know where to harness them. So right now, we're using our skills to build the white man's basically his dynasty when we should be using it to build our own and create our own. We needed this black power to teach our children, what real love is between families, between men and women. The intimacy in our relationships have been lost. Now it's just all about sex when it could be intimate, and they lost that. So now the kids are seeing all types of, homophilic actions and all these different, perversions in the household where that structure and that base has been lost. So we need to bring that back and to unify our people. That way we can reteach, what's right and what's wrong. And that way we can get back to building what is ours and not just building something for another race or, building something for our oppressors that's keeping us down. So basically that's my take on it. It's another excerpt that I want to read, and it says...
Don't read that one yet. We're going to finish critiquing this.
Okay.
Now, happening is the black power is nowhere because they have the power over your children, over you, over everything. So blacks have been neutralized to power along with even a lot of whites, but not as much as whites because they look out for each other. But our situation is if your child go to school and tell them that you got a spanking, the services will be at your house, and most likely they will remove your children because this is another way for them to break up the black families and get economics out of the situation. They turn into kitty jails. So you lost that power. Now, we're going to talk about black power movement in the beginning and the black power movement that we see today that started in the 60s and 70s. Well, back in the day with Marcus Garvey, black power really meant black power. It didn't mean black power within the white power dynamics. It meant black power in a totally black dynamics in a black country, in a black state like Liberia, where Marcus Garvey was planning on and had sent equipment and everything over there to get it started, but he was betrayed by W.E.B. Du Bois being sent over there by the government to tell the governor, the President Barclay, not to deal and let the Garveyites in. And then they made laws that barred everybody that was from the UNIA, the Garvey movement, out of Africa. So black power today is not like the black power that started. It fizzled out and been modified into actually is no difference between the black power movement now and the civil rights movement, because black power wants the same thing that the civil rights movement wants. They want to have power inside America within the white power dynamics. And black power, the way it's being coined now today, wants the same thing. They want power within the white power dynamics. They don't want to leave America and go build their own country. They don't want to go to another side of America and develop their own place or their own neighborhoods or anything like that. They want to control the business in their neighborhood, but they don't want to leave outside the white power dynamics. So then by us being connected to the white power dynamics, that means that their destiny dictates our destiny. So that's not really black power no more. Today, black power is just raising your fist and saying black power is nothing anymore because it's been watered down and sissified to what we have today. Now, Astro Black, the mic is yours.
Right on. Thank you, brothers and sisters, and thank you, Queen Ebony, for providing context for this discussion. On the issue of black power and how we need in order for black power and for black nationalism and black self-determination is about realizing that the core of the community, the core of a family starts with the man and the woman and us as a nation, realizing our full potential and our full power, and the fact that all religions, all organized religions, without exception, came from Africa, and the colonialists, the racist rapists, and the slave traders all knew this beforehand, and a part of giving you a white Jesus, a white concept of a God, of a deity, and the good ship Jesus, slave ship Jesus, was all part of removing the core emphasis and the core and the divine power of the black community and the black cultural ethics that all organized religions came out of. King Leopold, for instance, in his colonization of the Congo, in the first wave of colonization was to institute the white God concept, and he did this with the missionaries. Just providing a little context, King Leopold II of Belgium was responsible for the deaths and the mutilation of 10 million Congolese Africans during the late 1800s. The spoils of modern-day Belgium owes much of the people of the Congo River Basin. In today's terms, during the 25 or so years in which King Leopold II of Belgium used the Central African nation of Congo as his own personal private colony, are saying that they raped something close to $1 to $2 billion in current value from the land and from the people. In a testament of the hideous brutality of the European colonial era and the imperialism in its finest form during the 1880s, when Europe was busy dividing the continent of Africa like a vast chocolate cake, Leopold II of Belgium laid personal claim to a largely uncharted Congo Free State. This was 905,000 square miles, which is 76 times larger than Belgium itself, of African rainforest, and it held a vast fortune of rubber plantations, a commodity that was in high demand in the late 19th century during the Industrial Revolution. And the letter that King Leopold wrote a letter to Christian missionaries at the time, informing them of their prime objective, in priming the African people and the territory for white supremacy and a brutal dictatorship in the form of European colonization. And this, in the letter that he wrote in 1883, this is the starting point in which he started sending the Christian priests to the Congo to spearhead the Belgian colonialism. He wrote, "Reverends, fathers, and dear compatriots, the task that is given to fulfill the very delicate that I'm giving you to fulfill is very delicate and requires much tact. You will go certainly to evangelize, but your evangelization must inspire above all Belgium interests. Your principal objective in our mission in the Congo is never to teach the niggers to know God. This they already know. They speak and submit to Mungu and Zambi and Zankomba, and what else I do not know. They know that to kill, to sleep with someone else's wife, to lie, and to insult is bad. Have courage and admit it. you're not going to teach them what they already know. Your essential role is to facilitate the task of administrators and industrialists, which means you go to interpret the gospel in a way that it will be best to protect your interest in that part of the world. For these things, you have to keep watch on disinteresting our savages from the richness that is plenty in the underground. To avoid that, they get interested in it and make you murderous in competition of the dream that one day they will overthrow you. Your knowledge of the gospel will allow you to find texts ordering and encouraging your followers to love poverty, like happier are the poor because they will inherit heaven. And it is very difficult for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. You have to detach them. You have to detach from them and make them disrespect everything which gives courage to affront us. I make reference to the mystic system and their war fetish, warfare protection, which they pretend not to want to abandon, but you must do everything in your power to make it disappear. Your action will be directed essentially to the younger ones, for they won't revolt when the recommendation of the priest is contrary to their parents' teaching. The children have to learn to obey the missionary's recommendations, who is the father of their soul. You must singularly insist on their total submission and obedience. Avoid developing the spirit in the schools. Teach students to read, not to listen or reason. Their dear patriots are some of the principles that you must apply. You will find many other books which will be given to you at the end of this conference. Evangelize the niggers so that they will stay forever in the submission of the white colonialists, so they never revolt against the restraints that they are undergoing. Recite every day. Happy are those who are weeping because the kingdom of God is for them. He goes on in saying, convert always blacks using the whip. Keep the women in 9 months of submission to work freely for us. Force them to pay you in sign and recognition, goats, chickens, or eggs. Every time you visit their villages, make sure that the niggers never become rich. Sing every day that it is impossible for the rich to enter heaven. Make them pay tax each week at Sunday Mass. Listen, and I hope you're listening very closely, brothers and sisters, because these same holdovers, these same practices, these same rituals are being carried out by the priests, the missionaries, and the pastors, and every Sunday at Sunday Mass, collecting taxes, informing you, indoctrinating you in the dogma of poverty, saying that your suffering here on earth, for whatever purpose, is in some way adding to your adding to your godly virtue and your power in the afterlife, and quite frankly your ability to achieve and experience paradise and happiness in heaven. He talks about how he had. Go ahead, brother.
I just want to say this: the blissfulness in the afterlife. So they got you paying with your blood and your sweat and your agony for blissfulness in the afterlife that you don't even know that exists. Go ahead, my brother.
Right. And the fact that he knew that focusing on the young, on the children, on the youth, and indoctrinating them, and actually putting psychological and spiritual pressure on them is going to divide the home and divide generations. Was the primary emphasis of the missionaries and their religious indoctrination. Keeping in mind, when the missionaries went to Central Africa, they knew that we already knew who God was. We gave them the concept of God that they have in Europe. They knew this going in, but Central Africa was a primary access point for raw materials, resources, and human labor that was used to jumpstart the Industrial Revolution and change the world over. This was their primary focus, and they used religion to do it. He says, use the money supposed for the poor to build flourishing business centers. Institute a confessional system, which allows you to be good detectives denouncing any black that has a different consciousness contrary to that of the decision maker. So again, the confessional system. This is the way. This is only a practice used to dig in your mind. So the Catholics, they know this very well. These are exactly who these people were. In order for you to be compelled to release your secrets, your protocol, your intel that are integral to the black community, to the black communal system that we needed in order to maintain our independence and our own dignity and our own self-determination. They inspire generation after generation to ultimately give up that information willingly to the priest, and the priest goes directly back to whoever is the figurehead of the colonial power structure. In this case was King Leopold II of Belgium. He goes on and saying, teach the niggas to forget their heroes. Again, he says, teach the niggas to forget their heroes and to adore only ours. Never present a chair to a black that comes to visit you. Never give him more than one cigarette. This goes down to basic daily practice, interpersonal experiences. White supremacy is a culture and a way of life. And this letter that he's written out to each of the Christians who are going in service of him in order to establish a colonial state in Central Africa are being given direct, clear, explicit orders in how to deal with us and to control and produce a slave population. He says, never invite him over for dinner, even if he gives you a chicken every time you arrive at his house. And ask yourself, those of you who claim to have white friends, how many of them ask you over to their house for dinner? But they're quick to come over yours, right? I mean, this is a basic practice that's being carried down and passed down generation to generation for hundreds and hundreds of years. This letter was written in 1875. No, 1883. The speech that he gave shows the real intention of the Christian missionaries and their journey in Africa, and was exposed to the world by a Mr. Borokoko in Congo in 1915, who in 1938, while working in the Congo, brought a second-hand Bible from the Belgian priest who forgot the speech in the Bible itself. So the global African family, the global black family, should take special note of what's being said in this very explicit protocol of the white supremacist power structure, the white supremacist protocol. That all missionaries carry this out, and they still carry out this mandate to this very day. in the way that King Leopold articulated the aim of all Christian imperialist missionaries to Africa. Brother Akbar.
Yes, they sure do, my brother. They sure do. That's why I don't even ask black people what their religion is, because I know their religion is white supremacy, and that's the bottom line. It ain't Christianity, Islam. Every Western religion is white supremacy, because all the religions are ran by white people. At all the top of the Western religions, there's white people on the Godhead or close to the Godhead that's running everything. They may have a couple of Negroes in there just to make you as a token, to make you believe that you have some stake in their religion. That's why they was trying to run that black pope crap on you. Because if they put a black pope, probably half of the Catholics probably would get out. And I'm not talking about the white ones. I'm talking about the black ones. Or the Spanish ones or whatever. They probably won't even accept a black pope. So I would love to see that happen, even though just to see what the result is. I mean, we would have some hell of a show to do on a black pope. So this is what they did. The Godhead is the power. We may think that the guns and all that stuff, that's just part of the power. But the biggest power that white supremacy has is getting you to believe in their religion. That's why they beat it into you. They tricked it into you. They stole your children and took them away and taught them the religion and then sent them back as men to you to enforce the religion on you. It was very important for them to get this religion. We don't understand the importance that they had to spread and evangelize the religion to you. The whole Africa was being evangelized by Arabs first. Well, not actually Christians first, but those earlier Christians, not like the Christians that we see today or the Christians during slavery. They were different. It had morphed into something else that it did from the beginning when it started out in Egypt, when it was given to them by the Malachite Coptic Egyptian priests. So what they did was they put that into you. Then once they knew that you believed in this Christ thing, and they developed this over the centuries, they said that the one who represents Christ is the vicar on earth. So they call the Christ the vicar, right? And the vicar Christos, and his representative, who is the Pope or the Archbishop or whoever, or the Queen of England, when she goes to Africa, Negroes bow, kiss the ground, kiss her hand, all kinds of madness Negroes are doing. Africa is the laughing stock of the world, and we just don't know it. And Black America and anywhere Negropeans are practicing religions that's not from their own mind, because religion is just a made-up thing to unite the people. And it started out with us. We were able to build Kemet, Nubia, the whole Kushite Empire, all the way at the end of Africa, Great Zimbabwe. They done found civilizations in South Africa that's over. They're dating, because I don't really trust their carbon dating. But they're carbon dating it to be over 200,000 years old, and it's not a one metropolis. It's metropolises. Just pull it up. Ancient metropolis in South Africa. You can Google it. So they seen how we used our mythos, which really wasn't like theirs, because we didn't use it to manipulate. We didn't go outside of Africa forcing it on people and everything. People actually came into Africa to learn the religion, and we didn't take and gave them a black god and all that stuff. But they chose to make their god black or their deity black. It was on their own. But we used the animals and the trees, the nature around them to define their mythos, and they gave that to them to help civilize them. See, our people was the civilizers of the world, and they used this thing we call spirituality. Later on, that morphed into a religion, and then it morphed into this crazy stuff, into an oppressor tool that's being used on us to this day. our greatest problem is these religions. If we can get our head away from this, because they don't unite us. You know, the religion is not today's Christianity anyway. It was only one time in America that I can historically say that religion started to unite black people, but they took and made it black, like put a black god or worship the god of Ethiopia and all that. That was the Garvey movement, and during the time of Henry McNeil Turner in the AME Zion Baptist Church, the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And he was like one of the top 4 or 5 of the Back to Africa movements. And Henry McNeil Turner was one of the baddest. He needs to be studied. If you don't know about him, study it. So what's happening is these people take these religions and they put them on our people. And once you indoctrinate into that religion, your mother can't even come back and tell you that is not real. Even if she finds out and come back and tell you you're a fighter, that this religion is real. If you're a Muslim, them is the worst to convince that their religion is just a tool of the oppressor given to them to control their minds. Because everywhere they go, when they go to Mecca, who runs Saudi Arabia? White Muslims. White, just as white as any white person in Europe. When you go to Jerusalem, you want to be a Jew, who runs it? White Jews. When you go to the Vatican, if you're a Catholic, who runs it? A white pope. When you go to any white religious institutions, white folks are running it because that's what it was made for them to be in control of even their own people and you. Because religion is a tool to unite the people, to get them to come together so they can be used by the powers that govern them or created it. And that's what it is. Now, we're going to get back to this black power thing. Queen Amber, did we let you rest enough? Queen Ebony. I'm sorry. Queen Ebony. Yes. Okay. And hit that next part. And then after you hit it, you read it, you critique it. And I'll come after you.
Okay.
Okay.
It says, Black Power expresses a range of political goals from defense against racial oppression to the establishment of social institutions and a self-sufficient economy. The earliest known usage of the term is found in a 1954 book by Richard Wright entitled Black Power. Although he did not coin the phrase, New York politician Adam Clayton Power Jr. used the term on May 29, 1966, during a baccalaureate address at Howard University to demand these God-given rights is to seek black power. Go ahead, Brother Akbar. Brother Akbar.
Go ahead and critique that, what it means to you.
Basically, it says that they want to demand the God-given rights to seek black power, meaning that they want the right of establishment of social institutions and their own self-sufficient economy. And basically, even though he didn't, make the phrase black power, it was basically a slogan for young groups to come together to empower one another. So basically that was the last part of the essay. And it also says they want to defend it as well. So back to you,
yes.
Brother Akbar.
Anything that you have and that you obtain, you have to defend it, or not somebody's going to come and take it from you. And if you're not able to defend it, even if you fight and you lose, they're still going to take it from you. But it's better to fight than to do what black people is just doing today, standing still and taking it. Because that's a slow death. That's waiting for somebody to creep up on you, and you don't know if you're next when you go outside. That's where our children go outside today. You don't know if they're going to get killed by another Negro peon or a white police or a black policeman. Because anybody with that suit on that oppresses black people, either he black, white, Spanish, Indian, whatever's wearing that uniform, is an agent of white supremacy. So white supremacy is really what we're fighting. Now, not every white person in America benefits from white supremacy. Let's put it that way. And I'm not giving them a pass, because probably if they did have a chance, they probably would still be the same, because you know how some of them hold their heads up and think they're better than you, even though, you know, they are poorer than you. But they give them the hope that just being white makes you better, because white is seen as all power. And the worshipers of white supremacy are black people, the biggest worshipers. In our community, you have so many churches, so you have mosques, but you don't have as many mosques as churches, because Islam's not that big in America, because white supremacy fights amongst itself. Because they're all just rackets, and they're fighting for a position. You know, if they find one, they got some, they fight themselves. So a lot of people say they fighting over there, and the Arabs and killing the Arabs, and the Jews and Arabs are killing and bombing each other and everything. I don't care, because that's just karma taking place. So I sit back with my karmatic popcorn and have a good time watching the party, you know, because hey, it is what it is. You know, we always want to be, we are the world, Negroes, loving everything and everybody but our own selves. And this is sick. And this is why we bring this information to you. Hopefully you will listen, and something in your head may jar, or you may have a little blood vessel that, you know, blocking your mind, go away. When we give you this medicine we call the truth. That's why I call myself the Truth Doctor. And Astro Black calls himself Astro Black, because he's going to take you to the stratosphere with truth. And Queen Ebony, because she's blacker than black. She is the embodiment of black power. So we come in here to give you this truth, to wake you up on Wake Up African People. Astro Black, the mic is yours. Take us to the promised land.
Word. And the truth shall set you free. Black nationalism is not only a philosophy, but it's a practice and a way of life. Something that we over the course of the 20th and 21st century, following the fall of colonialism, or the first wave of colonialism on Africa and the Western Hemisphere, we've seen a new onslaught of neocolonialism, in a way that the African independence movement has been portrayed, co-opted, and sabotaged. And the Congo, for instance, as we were talking about King Leopold II, in the way that they used the Catholic missionaries and the Christian evangelists in order to control the minds and by extension the bodies and the resources of our people in Central Africa. They've even post independence in 1960, they've continued to drain and pillage resources from the continent with the help of the United States. on the issue of Black Power, Patrice Lumumba, who was the preeminent and first democratically elected president, black president, post-colonial president of the Congo in 1960. He said, "History will one day have its say, but it will not be the history of Brussels, Paris, or Washington, or the United Nations. But it will teach in the country, but they will teach it in the countries emancipated from colonialism and its puppets, a history of glory and dignity." The assassination of Patrice Lumumba, again, who was the first legally elected prime minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo, was assassinated back in 1961 on January 17th. This is a heinous crime, but some authors in the 20th century have said this is the most important assassination of the 20th century. And when you take into consideration that the atrocities that King Leopold used in order to maintain control over Central Africa as a regular colony, and used to pillage the land, the resources, and the human capital and human labor in order to fund capitalism, in order to fund the Industrial Revolution, and also to drive the arms wars that took the arms races that took place in World War I and World War II. You see how valuable our people and our territories are. He says, when the Tashi went in for 126 years, the U.S. and Belgium played key roles in shaping Congo's destiny. In April 1884, 7 months before the Belgian Congress, the U.S. became the first country in the world to recognize the claims of King Leopold II of the Belgians to the territories of the Congo Basin. When the atrocities related to the brutal colonial and economic exploitation of Leopold's Congo Free State resulted in millions of fatalities. The U.S. joined other powers to force Belgium to take over the country as a regular colony. And as it was during the colonial period that the U.S. acquired a strategic stake in the enormous natural wealth of the Congo, following its use of the uranium from the Congolese mines to manufacture the first atomic weapons, the ones used on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And with the Cold War outbreak, it was inevitable that the U.S. and its Western allies would not be prepared to let Africans have an effective control over strategic raw minerals, lest these fall in the hands of the enemies of the Soviet of a Soviet camp. It is in these regards that Patrice Lumumba's determination to achieve genuine independence and to have full control over Congo's resources in order to utilize them to improve the living conditions of our people was perceived as a threat to Western interests. To fight him, the United States of America and the Belgians used all the tools and resources at their disposal, including the United Nations Secretariat, Ralph Bunche, and to buy the support of Lumumba's Congolese rivals and hired killers. And so, taking into consideration how it all came to pass, it was in the 23 to 25 years that Leopold ruled over Congo. He massacred 10 million Africans by cutting off their hands and genitals, flogging them to death, starving them into forced labor, and holding children ransom and burning villages. The ironic part of the story is that King Leopold II committed these atrocities by not even stepping foot in Congo once. Also, the Congolese tribal chiefs unwittingly, because they weren't able to read and write, unwittingly sold the tribal members into a lifetime of slavery for mere pieces of cloth. So the Congolese began trading with the Congolese chiefs began trading with the Belgian slave traders and the rapists, and made them sign an ethos and a treaty, basically handing over all sovereignty of their people, the sovereignty of all sovereignty of all people and the governing lands to all their territories over to the Belgian government. And the brutal dictatorship of King Leopold II and the Belgians continued on, as they reaped the benefits of the vast mineral resources and the rubber plantations in the Congo. And it's disputed, but at one stage, King Leopold was the richest man in the world with his personal fortune somewhere between $100 million and $500 million. That's been updated in saying that his portion of fortune was somewhere between $1 and $2 billion with a B dollars. Most of his wealth was handed over to the Belgian government after his death. So it was through slave labor. It was through of using rape and sexual assault and sex as a weapon, burning villages, chopping off hands, mutilating hundreds of millions of people, of our peoples, which was used to fund and build the Industrial Revolution and build Europe as a global imperialist power. So present day Democratic Republic of Congo is estimated to hold somewhere between 24 and 25 trillion dollars in untapped mineral resources, mostly diamonds. Following the independence of the Congo from Belgium in June 1960, Patrice Lumumba, leader of the movement National Congolese, was elected Congo's first democratically elected president. But it only took 10 weeks following his election for a coup d'etat to be organized by the United States and Belgium and beheaded by one of his rivals, General Sekou, in which he was deposed, and Patrice Lumumba was murdered before a firing squad. And evidence beyond a reasonable doubt has connected the CIA and the Belgian government to funding, training, and equipping the coup d'etat that overthrew the democratically elected president in Congo, Patrice Lumumba. Mobutu, who took control after Patrice Lumumba was ousted and murdered, institutionalized corruption in the country, apparently looted up to $4 billion worth before he was subsequently ousted by a rebel leader named Kabila. And Kabila in 2001 was assassinated. And after a brief return to civil war, his son Joseph Kabila became democratically elected president of Congo in 2006. And if you're following the news headlines now, Congo is still heavily detested and heavily entrenched in civil war over the resources and really state control over the region, where you have new neocolonial interests from Europe and from the United States of America going in and twisting and controlling and corrupting and causing havoc and instability in the region. And this is all done initially under the pretext of using missionaries to evangelize the population of people who already knew who God was and already had a concept of God. And in fact, the very concept of God that they had taken from African folklore and reshaped into their own into their own concept of what white Jesus and a white God is in order for them to control and manipulate and destroy black independence, black sovereignty, black dignity, and black power on the continent.
Yeah, but Astro, we got to stop saying they took the religion because it was given to them, but it morphed it into something different because it was given to them to civilize. I mean, they were begging the Malachite Coptic Egyptian priests to give the barbarian whites. You got to read about the Byzantine Empire. Everybody out there that's listening tonight, read the history of the Byzantine Empire, the early Roman Empire, all the way to the Greek with the Ptolemies and Alexander, and you will see where they created all this madness. Even all the religions of the world, even in China, India, all that. We think these things are ancient, but they're not. These things are not even over 3,000 to 2,000, every 2,000 plus years old. Because the Malachite Coptic Egyptian priests spread out and went out around the world. And they later on became the disciples of some of these people's religions and stuff. And you will see them, they turned them into different people. I spoke to Dr. Walter Williams the other day for about 2 hours. It was like going to college in 2 hours. And he was telling me how they went into China and wrote their language for them, the writing and everything in China. He said it was a phonetic language given to them. He called the name out. I'm still reading and researching, so I can't remember right now. But let me tell you, Dr. Walter Williams is the most powerful scholar that we have out here today. We're going to have him back on the show. We have a lot of callers tonight. I just peeked into the dashboard. I ain't even realized. But we're going to have a part 2 on this, and we're going to go and see if some of the callers right now, because we have more time, to see if they want to add anything to this. So y'all hold on and let me go over to the dashboard. Okay, caller 803 with the last 4 digits 2932. That was my mom's phone number. Okay, let me let you in to see if you want something to say or add to the show.
Institution admired Obama for his journey to the White House, which is something some felt they would never see in their lifetime, seeing that he's come so long and so far.
Oh, we had to take that off. They're giving me a Barack Obama something. He definitely ain't in the Black Power. He's the president of white power. Okay, we're going to get the number 1474 at the end. Okay, caller, with the last digits 1474, would you have any questions? No? Okay. They just probably want to listen. So let me go to this caller. Okay, caller, 9561, would you have any questions or add anything to the show? Okay, that caller doesn't want to say anything. We got one more. We got a few more. Let's try this one. Okay, caller, 1249. Would you have something to say or add to the show?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, sir. I'm just coming in on the show. I never knew about the show until tonight. Found you on Facebook. Yes. Very, very, very powerful show. The sad part is most of us that need to really be in tune with this show are watching Scandal. I just had to say that. It's sad. It almost makes you want to cry. I'm looking at my news. I'm looking at my news feed and the Scandal and this and that. This is a powerful show. It's my first night. I thank you and I salute you for doing what you're doing.
Well, my sister, go in on our show and follow us. Everybody that's on the show tonight and want to hear our show, just follow us. We're not on every single day because that's too much talking. So we come on like two or three times a week. And we don't, unless we're bringing on a special guest or something, let me tell you, our people need to drop them TVs out the window. If they live on the second or third floor, Drop them out the window. If you live on the first floor, slam it out the window. Because unless you have your third eye open, you don't need to be watching no TV.
Well, see, that's my whole thing. Even when I talk to a couple of my associates on Facebook, I don't do religion, I'm sorry. But the couple of ones that I did talk to, they're Christians. And to me, we're talking about tonight, is the main problem. That any religion, I don't care what it is, takes you outside of who you are.
If it's a black religion and it ain't uniting us or telling us to build and get away from white supremacy, it's an enemy too. It's a cult, because a lot of us black people have learned from the white man how to trick other black people with religion. So we don't talk about much, but in this show we talk about black cults and black religions and all that. Run. Somebody say something about some sky god or sky daddy or something, run. Because the creator is in everything on this earth. Everything, even a rock. You know what I'm saying? The creative force is in it. It's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? When they say God is everywhere, they don't think of it's everywhere. They just limit it. He's not even in themselves. Even the Bible tells them that the Spirit of God is within, and they still don't understand that they are the real gods on this earth.
Oh, yeah, we are gods, no doubt.
Yeah.
But see, and that's what I love about the show, because it takes me back to what I originally started learning when I came out of religion. I know I'm a god, and it's several. And that's what, I am really, really enjoying this show. I don't know, I can't even remember whose post I went on and found you tonight, but you all are speaking nothing but the truth, and if we don't wake up soon, our whole culture is just going to fade out. I hate to say it like that, but that's what's happening.
Well, our culture is already faded out. So even inside Africa, when you see them tribes wasn't always tribes like that. Them were people that fled and had to start all over again and had to go back in harmony with nature and got stuck in that situation. Not saying that they're not the best people on earth, because anybody that's living in harmony with nature is living in the highest form of life on earth, because they're living in harmony, not destroying the earth. They're not overrunning the earth and killing up everything on the earth and destroying the atmosphere, the ocean water, the food, and everything you could think of. These people right here are on a collision course to the total destruction of humanity. And if you don't get away from them, you're going to be destroyed. And we need to start thinking about getting away from these folks. But we're addicted to this lifestyle, and we're worshipers of white supremacy. And we have to wake up. Now, let me try to let another call there, my sisters. I'm glad that you came, and we appreciate you for supporting our show, Wake Up African People.
Ashe.
Ashe. Okay, we got 8. Oh, okay, let's see what this is for. Okay,
hello.
Caller. Would you like to?
What's going on? No, I think we was mistaken a minute ago. I walked in the house and they had it on the news. That's why you heard that old Obama stuff in that back. They were talking about it. He's supposed to be coming to one of the black colleges here tomorrow. I was like, oh no, I didn't even know I was on it.
Well, actuality, it came in at the right time.
I was like, hold on, this what you talking about me? Hold on. Nah, but real talk though, y'all hitting it dead on the button. I mean, our people are sleeping, they need to be woken up, and they're waking up. And I believe they realize that we're waking up. And that's why they're fighting so hard. I mean, they fighting every way you can think about it. That's why they're killing our babies. They're beating down our women, killing the women. And we got to stand up. I mean, the true gods of the universe need to stand up and man up. Because like I said, there's nothing but, like I told a group of people, nothing about us, most of us, is black. Our names are white. White. Our dress is white. The language is white. Everything about us is white right now. And we got to come out of this. They know the disrespectfulness that you see that's rampant now. I mean, they even take the world serious from the babies. I mean, come on now. You know, if the babies ain't even off limits, what else you gonna do?
They taking our babies, and they got our sisters and our brothers, not just our sisters, because every reaction of our sisters is a reaction of us. Every one of our reactions is a reaction to our sister. We have to start thinking that we are one. That's the problem. The white man has separated us and broken the black family down so much and domesticated us and socially engineered us to the Negropeans that we are today.
Exactly. And the thing is...
And that Negropean, I created that word about 2-3 years ago. It came into my mind. I did it on a show, and then I put it on Facebook, and it went viral. Now it's all in the dictionaries. Somebody told me that a college intellectual was speaking down here in Philly from one of the temple joints, and he even said Negropean. I was like, he owe me some money.
We'll put a copyright on it. But here's
right, my brother, we are happy to have you to come on our show and speak your opinion, and you're always welcome to come to Wake Up African People, and when we take in the callers, and subscribe to our show. Go in to Wake Up African People and push follow and become a follower, and our shows will come right to you. You don't have to wait to see when we're coming on, because we don't come on every day. That's too much talk.
Yeah, exactly. Real talk.
Still got to do my street work. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm active in the community. If I'm on this thing talking, that's going to take from the real work outside. Well, this is work too. Don't get me wrong. Because Marcus Garvey said that the pen is mightier than the sword, but the tongue is mightier than the bow.
You're right.
So,
you're right. You got to live this life. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming, my brother. Peace and blessings. And may the black creative force be with you.
Oh, you do the same, my brother. Thanks.
Okay, let's see who else we got here. Astro, we got a few callers here. Okay. Caller, would you like to add something to the show? Or ask a question? Okay, I don't think that caller has anything to say. Okay. So let's go back to this caller. Okay. Caller, would you like to have a question or add to the show? Okay, this caller doesn't want to say anything. Okay, now we're done with the callers for now. Yes. So we're above the time that we're supposed to be in here. But I want to touch a little bit on King Leopold again, because this was one of the most vicious devils that ever lived on the face of the earth. And he's in the top 10. So King Leopold was responsible for having Africans to do his dirty work. One of the biggest slave traders that used to trade with the Arabs, and when the Arabs went out of power, they started trading with the Europeans in Europe. And his name was Tip-O-Tip. But he had a Muslim name. I can't call it tonight. But the name Tip-O-Tip, the Africans that he was enslaving and terrorizing, he was black, blacker than us, living in Zanzibar. He was Islamized, one of the ones they call Moors and all that. And the reason he got the name Tip-O-Tip was from the sound of his guns. And that's what the slaves getting shot down and shot up started calling him Tip-O-Tip, because he had guns and he terrorized his own brothers and stuff that mostly had spears or muskets or whatever. So we had a lot of African, and I don't like to romanticize African history and start thinking how our people did sell us and the European went in there and just smacked all the Africans down all the way through and took what he wanted. Gives the white man too much goddamn power, and I'm not willing to do that, because we were instrumental in this thing. We were disorganized. Our civilization had crumbled from Egypt all the way down into inner Africa. We were running from the Arab slave trade and all that stuff that exploded from the creation of religion. And who created this This religion, some Malachite Coptic Egyptian priests, and this is what Dr. Walter Williams calls the coons of ancient time, the Negropeans of ancient time. And they made this religion, and it's morphed it into all this stuff that's happening to us today, and even to the European and everybody that practices all these crap. It has more wars, more carnage, more poverty, more everything has happened under the banners of religion than any other thing that ever existed on earth. So we got to get away from this thing, because we made it, and it ain't real. It was a thing to civilize, and we lost control of our own experiment. And it morphed it into this madness that came to haunt us. That's the fact. Ain't no prophets or messengers or nothing. None of that stuff never existed. This is all made up stories so people could be civilized that morphed. They lost control of it. Then the Byzantine Empire, they handed it over because they were being attacked and everything, so they handed it over to the West. You know, when they handed it over to the West, that's when it turned all the way white. And the Vatican was created in 1445, and then the Pope commissioned, what's the name of that guy, Michelangelo, to paint the Sistine Chapel and put all the white faces on there, and he used his own cousins as a figure of Christ, because he looked just like the white man they started out with a beard, Serapis, down in Egypt, when we made that for the European, Bartholomew I. So let's get rid of these things, because now they have come back to haunt us. And now that we know, we can go back to venerating nature like we used to. That's why the world was so beautiful, and so Africa was so beautiful. Everywhere the white man went was so beautiful, it captivated him, because we were venerating nature. And that was where the Creator lies, within and within everything in nature. And it makes you venerate and respect everything in nature and take care of the only home that we have, this planet Earth. And we'll get ready to say good night. And I want the Queen Ebony to, if you have any last words, go ahead, and then we're going to cut this thing out tonight.
No, you did a great job, and I appreciate all our callers. I appreciate Brother Astro, and also subscribe to our Blog Talk Radio website. Good night, good evening, my brothers and sisters.
Yes, our website is www.wakeupafricanpeople@wix.com. And you can find the Truth Doctor, Astro Black, Queen Ebony, Queen Hatshepsut, Queen Sheshet, and all the people that always been on the show. Some of the renowned people, Dr. Walter Williams, Dr. Umar Johnson, Phil Valentine, my brother Cimarron, Brother Kamal. These both are Garvey scholars. They know our black history like a computer knows its programming. I'm telling you, we have some very powerful people that have been on this show. We had Mariana Samad. She was a Garveyite back in the day. She's the one who went to Jamaica and revived Garveyism in Jamaica. In Jamaica, they had forgot about Garvey. When she went there, she said she cried. Garvey's grave was like a trash yard, trash and everything all over his monument and everything. She cleaned it off herself and went cleaning it every day until the people caught on and started cleaning it. So we had Herman Ferguson. Herman Ferguson was a bad dude. He was with Malcolm X when he got killed in the Autobahn. We had him on twice. He passed away lately. We've had some powerful people. He had to flee the nation. They had him locked up for they said he threatened to kill what's that brother Young. He was one of the guys that was getting jobs, head of the I can't call his first name now. He was the head of the Urban League. His name was Young. Last name was Young. They threatened to kill him because they thought he was a Negropean and too soft with the white folk back then. So he had to flee the country. He has a book called The Unlikely Warrior. And send praise up to him because he passed over last year, and he was a powerful brother. You got to go back into our archives and listen to that show. We have some nice shows. Subscribe to Wake Up African People, and you will not regret it. Good night. This is the Truth Doctor, Astro Black.
Stay strong, brothers and sisters. Research your history and your past, and you will find the clues and the keys to undo colonialization, the white supremacy, and slavery that has plagued our people for the last 2,000-3,000 years. Much love and respect, and thank you to all our callers, and thank you to Queen Ebony, and thank you for having us on, Brother Akbar. Have a good night, y'all.
Yes, good night, Hotep, Alafia, free the land, and let's have some real black power and not let it just be a fist. Good night.